Good Saturday evening, South Mississippi. Meteorologist Taylor Graham here, giving you an update on what we're watching here locally in the forecast, and also pointing out where they're seeing some major snow in some parts of the country. I'll show you that in just a few moments. Definitely feels like the end of November and even December today, which by the way does begin tomorrow. I'm rocking the turtleneck tonight because we are under a freeze warning and things are going to be getting much cooler within the next few hours. So let's go ahead and take a dive into that forecast, what we're looking at here over the next 12 to 24 hours. Main story is we are going to be seeing temperatures near freezing again late tonight into Sunday morning. Everyone in South Mississippi is included in a freeze warning overnight tonight. That includes areas south of I-10. We may not technically reach the freezing point of 32 in some spots, but it's going to be cold enough to where we're likely going to see widespread frost early tomorrow morning. So before heading to bed, if you have any plants you need to protect, do that. Make sure your pets have a way to stay warm overnight tonight, and maybe check in on some neighbors to make sure they have a way to stay warm tonight as well, especially the elderly. We are aiming for temperatures in the low to mid 30s right around the sunrise tomorrow morning, and even several hours before the sunrise tomorrow as well. This morning, there's a good chance if you were out early in the morning, you had some frost on your lawn, maybe your car windshield. We had temperatures this morning anywhere from the upper 20s in Moss Point, where we have some cooler air draining in, to the mid 30s over in Gulfport. So no doubt about it, it was a cold start to our Saturday morning, and we're doing it again tomorrow. It was beautiful, but a little chilly this afternoon. Temperatures in the upper 50s to low 60s. We'll be a few degrees warmer by tomorrow, and it does look like temperatures are dropping very quickly as we speak. We've got the perfect recipe for a big cool down. The sky is clear, the wind is relatively calm, and the humidity is pretty low. We've got dew points mainly in the 30s, so with that dry air, it allows us to cool down pretty efficiently. Check it out, Perkinston already at 39, 41 up into Wiggins at this point. It looks like we're even seeing temperatures in the 30s in some spots over in Hancock County. Now we're a little warmer in Gulfport and Biloxi. Our sensor is a bit closer to the water. Over at Keesler Air Force Base, of course, they've got the influence from Back Bay, so that's why they're still technically in the 50s. But as far as I can tell, temperatures right now dropping very quickly, and that's going to set the stage for more frost overnight tonight. Again, the sky looking to stay pretty much crystal clear, maybe a few clouds, but for the most part we'll see a clear sky. The wind is calm, and again, that is a perfect recipe for us to cool down. So waking up tomorrow morning, many of us are going to be in the low to mid 30s, but temperatures will be warming up or climbing fairly quickly tomorrow. Once we get past the sunrise, we will start to warm back up into the 60s by the afternoon. So again, freeze warning remains in effect, or will be in effect, I should say, starting at midnight tonight, lasting until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. That does include all of South Mississippi. Typically, they will issue these for the first few times of the season that we approach freezing, and then once we get the hang of things, we get into that winter pattern. We typically don't necessarily see the warnings in place, but because a lot of people still have some plants they would like to protect, and because we're just not used to it at this point, that's why we are seeing that freeze warning. So don't be surprised if later in the season we still see temperatures close to freezing. We aren't technically under a freeze warning. Last season, the first day that we reached the freezing mark, which is 32 degrees in Gulfport at the airport, that was December 29th. The year before that, it was much earlier, November 18th. So each season, it's a little different, but on average, we usually see our first day of reaching 32 or the freezing mark right around December 5th in Gulfport. Now, we may technically not hit that freezing mark early tomorrow morning, but we are going to be close enough to where some areas are going to be seeing some patchy frost, just like we had earlier this morning. Tomorrow, if you have plans to maybe put up some of your Christmas holiday decorations across the house, forecast looks great, especially by midday and into the afternoon. A little bit of a chill in the air for us, temperatures in the low to mid 60s, but maybe that puts you a bit more in the festive spirit. I know it does for me whenever we start to see the weather turning a little bit cooler. So frosty in the morning. That's not going to last too long though after the sunrise. We do expect to see plenty of sunshine tomorrow, so it will be a fantastic day to put up some of your Christmas decorations in the afternoon. So we've got high pressure basically right on top of us that's giving us that clear sky. That area of high pressure has also helped to usher in some cooler air that moved in from the north. Looks like they've got some snow showers up in parts of the Ohio Valley, but I really want to talk about what's going on in parts of New York. They are dealing with extreme lake effect snow, which some of these spots historically are used to it, near the Buffalo area, Watertown, New York. Some of those spots close by could be picking up an additional 2 to 3 feet of snow, not inches, feet of snow in some parts in New York, and they've already picked up 1 to 2 feet in a few of those spots already. So pretty incredible what happens this time of the year with lake effect snow. So I just wanted to point that out. It amazes me that some of those areas can pick up literal feet of snow within a span of just a couple of days. Temperatures across the nation, it definitely looks like winter, especially up into the northern plains. 10 in Bismarck, 10 in Minneapolis. Of course, they're a little more used to it for us. But even in the southeast, we've got those 40s, 32 up into Cincinnati. 70 though, Miami, they're still seeing some of that warmer weather, but it really does look like a big portion of the southeast feeling the chill in the air, and at least for us in South Mississippi, that's going to be sticking around over the next several days. So starting off tomorrow morning, temperatures close to freezing, especially if you're farther inland. Inland areas, especially in the Pine Belt, Hattiesburg, likely going to be seeing temperatures right at freezing or so. We'll quickly warm up into the low to mid 60s tomorrow. Should be a beautiful day, nothing but sunshine, and then we do it all over again. We'll see that northerly wind reinforce that cooler air, so there's a chance we'll see more frost. Waking up on Monday morning, temperatures back into the low to mid 30s for the most part, and then we will be back into the upper 50s, low 60s by Monday afternoon. Cooler air once again settles in as we get into Tuesday morning with temperatures still close to freezing. So by Tuesday morning, we still could see some patchy frost along the coast. And then even heading into Wednesday, it's still going to be pretty chilly. Wednesday morning, we've got lows staying in the 40s, at least on the coast. But warmer weather will be returning by the end of the week, and our rain chances will be returning as well. We may see another front get closer to us. Ahead of that front, temperatures are going to be moderating quite a bit more, not going to be nearly as cold, it looks like, by Thursday and Friday morning at this point, with lows back into the 50s on the coast. Inland areas, you are more likely going to see that frost. It's probably going to be a thicker blanket of frost. Tomorrow morning, Monday morning, and Tuesday morning, temperatures still expected to be close to freezing, even a little bit closer to freezing than coastal spots. Even on Wednesday morning, I wouldn't rule out some patchy frost farther inland, with temperatures still expected to stay in the 30s. But similar to those of us on the coast, things are not going to be as cold, it looks like, by the end of the week. But over the next several mornings, just a heads up, you need to make sure your pets have a way to stay warm and also protect any plants you would like to keep. And of course, make sure that you and your family have a way to stay warm as well. Rain chances through Tuesday, slim to none. Not really expecting any rain. Well, as we get into Wednesday and Thursday ahead of that next little front or disturbance, could see a few showers. Doesn't look like a big washout at this point, but we'll keep you posted on that. But overall, rain chances are looking pretty slim over the next several days. Also, let's talk about the tropics. I don't think anyone's complaining about this, but today is the last day of hurricane season. And of course, things in the tropics have been pretty quiet over the past week or so, as it should be, at least during the end of November. But this season, it was pretty active, especially in the Gulf of Mexico. We didn't quite get to the names of Tony, Valerie, or William. We ended with Sarah. That ended up being a tropical storm. And once it moved into the Gulf of Mexico, it was an extratropical system. We did see some of those remnants eventually, but thankfully, we didn't have to deal with the worst of Sarah. For us in South Mississippi, if you remember back in the middle of September, we had Hurricane Francine. We did feel some of those impacts. Of course, Helene and Milton, those were very significant storms for parts of Florida. And this is a look at some of those systems that we had in the Gulf of Mexico this hurricane season. We had plenty of activity. Thankfully, even though we did feel some impacts from Hurricane Francine, we didn't have to deal with the worst of it. That was more so into parts of southeast Louisiana. Even Helene, as we all know, not only did it cause devastating impacts in Florida, but also brought widespread flooding to parts of North Carolina. Some of those communities, unfortunately, decimated. And also Hurricane Milton, while it weakened before making landfall in Florida, at one point in the Gulf of Mexico was a very powerful Category 5 storm. It did make landfall, though, as a major hurricane just south of Tampa earlier in October. So plenty of activity that happened in the Gulf of Mexico this hurricane season. Thankfully, though, in South Mississippi, we did not get the worst of it, and we can rest easy, at least in terms of tropical weather, until next hurricane season. And with these cold shots moving through the southeast, that has cooled the water down a good bit. Last I checked, the water temperature in Back Bay this afternoon was at 60 degrees. So how did some of those forecasts pan out? Well, they panned out pretty well. The NOAA forecast called for 17 to 24 named storms. We had 18 named storms this season. The average is typically 14. We had 5 major hurricanes in the Atlantic Basin. That includes the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico. Average is 3. And last year seems like it was a little more active in terms of total tropical activity, in terms of how many tropical storms and hurricanes, but we had more major hurricanes this year compared to last year. But the forecast was right on track. We did expect to have a pretty active season, more storms than average based off of the past 30 years, and that did pan out. We did end up with 18 named storms. Fingers crossed that next hurricane season, we're not going to be dealing with much here in South Mississippi, but just wanted to talk about the recap since today is the last day, and I don't think anyone's complaining that today is the last day of hurricane season. Things are still looking fairly cool around here over the next several days. Temperatures tomorrow in the low to mid 60s. We'll stay in the low 60s most likely Monday and Tuesday. Beautiful in the afternoon with all that sunshine, but the mornings are still going to be frosty. Many of us close to freezing, especially if you live farther inland. The end of the week is looking warmer. Nothing too terribly warm at this point, but a bit more mild with temperatures possibly back into the upper 60s at times, especially by Thursday. That's our best chance of seeing maybe a few more showers, and it doesn't look like it's going to be nearly as cold in the morning with lows back into the 40s and 50s. But the next 3 mornings, chances are we're going to see some frost around the area. So if you have any plants that you need to protect, just wait on putting them back out because we still could see some frost at least through Tuesday morning. We are really entering the month of December with some chilly weather, making it feel more like the holidays. So we obviously do not have an early evening newscast tonight due to college football once again. We are scheduled to have our regular newscast coming up this evening at 10 o'clock. Hopefully we can join everyone there, and you can join us for the latest on the forecast and the latest look on our temperatures, which I'm sure are going to be falling even more at that point. So we hope to see you back at 10 o'clock on WLOX.